Salve, salve galerinha, aqui é o Brunão, também conhecido como Zilane. E vamos de Pix e Banjo na telinha. Estamos aqui para o segundo dia do Rumble Stage. A gente vê que a PGG aprendeu a lição e não está deixando o Xiaohu jogar de Lucian. Também não está deixando passar o Renekton.
So, a lot of topside focus coming out from the side of Pentanet. Obviously, as we mentioned, these two teams have fought a fair number of times, and Pentanet have had this opportunity to try a number of different strategies up against RNG. They've had carries in the jungle, carries top lane, carries bot lane. They've kind of tried a wealth of different strategies. I believe we even had a
E agora, José?
from Chaz playing up against Cryan, where Chaz said in the whole chat, "I will solo kill you," and he did. To be fair, he did solo kill him. He lost the game, but he did solo kill him. So we'll see what Pentanet have prepared for this rematch once more, as Nautilus now taken off the board. Varus, pretty consistent red side ban throughout this tournament, one of the highest bans of MSI so far, with the amount of power, engage, and scaling that the champion does have. And the Kiana
banida
from RNG, so that respect being shown that they do not want to have to deal with it.
E a PGG mostrando que ela está disposta a jogar de Lee Sin e abrir mão do Rumble. Eu achei perigoso.
Expectations are at the moment that Lee Sin goes towards the top lane, and RNG resorting to comfort here. Gala eyeing up his Kai'Sa. Instead, it looks like they're going to go for the Udyr first.
I like this a lot because I think that... Ooh, and the Rumble. Wow, okay, so remember that this Rumble could be used in both top lane
Rumble
and
mid
in
top.
a very flexible champion in denying
Achei
pretty
legal.
much all of the S-tier junglers that exist in the current patch. So if RNG do decide to do this, I think that it's really going to pinch the champion pool availability for Pentanet. But...
They're not even going to go for the Kai'Sa as well, which is slightly surprising to me. Instead, Kog'Maw will be picked. Now, I will say, one of the last times these two teams met, Pentanet brought out Koglulu in the bottom lane, and they were 18,000 gold behind at the 24-minute mark. So perhaps RNG are saying, anything you can do, we can do much better with this draft.
I would love a Thresh pick.
A RNG veio mandar uma mensagem, basicamente, hoje.
Is that the Lulu is going to come through. I love Thresh as an answer.
Yep.
And what better champion than to pair it up with other than... Ooh, are they gonna... They're gonna flip the Cog Lulu into
roubaram a Lulu
themselves. Personally, I'm not a massive fan of the Aphelios Lulu just because of the range difference. I feel like that Kog'Maw with the W can be very difficult to deal with. I would have preferred something like a Jinx because you have that extra bit of range. I think that, especially in the current meta with the late game fights, it can be very potent. But regardless, they're going to stick with the Aphelios. I think the 2v2 laning is going to be a little difficult when going up against the Karma. Of course, there is the possibility that this Karma is flexed, can be played in mid lane, can be played top lane.
Essa Karma realmente ela pode ser flex. A Lulu também pode ser flex, vale ressaltar. Por via de dúvida, tiraram o Rumble.
Is it Arden Sensor meta all over again?
Was that 2017?
2017, yeah. Arden Sensor meta all over again, it seems. Moonstone Manure, of course, has been love tapped over the last few patches, nowhere near as strong as it was, but you can still go. Ardent Sensor Redemption still a strong support item as well if you are going to go towards one of these enchanters. Rumble taken away here by RNG. They're not going to give Pentanet a strong jungler, or at least one of those S tier junglers.
É um ótimo ban, porque ele é flex pick entre 3 rotas diferentes. Ele é bom pro top, mid e suporte. Então é bem forte.
Yeah, quite right. BioPanther has actively played the Urgot top.
E Orianna, gostei de tirar a Orianna do Cryan.
Considering a Gnar top lane pick. Does obviously offer a pretty safe laning phase if they want to
É campeão muito forte, principalmente se tiverem uma teamfight. E é campeão que também traz escudo, traz muito potencial de defesa.
So I quite like this. Putting Zhao once again on that carry top lane, something that he played a lot during the LPL playoffs. Noguri was able to successfully punish him a fair number of times on it. The question is, will BioPanther be able to do the same thing? Because with champions like the Urgot removed,
eu só tenho pena do Sion,
saying is you don't really have many
porque meu amigo tem Kog'Maw no outro
you
time.
could potentially stop us with. So BioPanther saying, yeah, I don't need a carry.
Você não vai ter dia legal como tem.
Instead, just goes for the Sion. We'll see where Pentanet want to go with their jungle pick here. Olaf
Vou pegar ali uma Lilia aqui, cara.
We've seen Wei pilot that a couple of times throughout this tournament. and this time it will be in the hands of Parbu. Strong carry, team him up with the Lulu in the mid game as well. He can run rampant through the enemy backline. The concern always is he going to be able to keep pace
Falta dano mágico
with
nessa
Wei, who is
composição da
playing this
PGG.
Udyr, one of the
Esse é o
strongest
principal
farming
problema deles.
junglers in the early game.
I agree with you, Medic. That's going to be a big question mark, as it looks like right now RNG is going to round their composition out with the Silas.
Ok.
How many ults does he have to steal? Lulu ult?
I mean, he's got 5, Vedius.
Vamos lá, vamos lá.
Okay, I mean, the quality of the ults that he can
Em
steal
termos de
good,
range,
and it looks like that. I'm actually not sure
a
what
vantagem é
happens
da
when he
RNG
steals
total.
ults. Yeah.
Em termos
Does he
de
just
pressão,
steal,
é pro
I don't
Chess
know,
ter
we'll
pressão
find
nesse
out.
mid o tempo todo.
Always something new to learn when it
E
comes
no
to
top
Silas
é pra
ults.
pressão
I
ser do
was having this
Xiaohu o
conversation
tempo
yesterday
todo.
about what happens when you steal Twitch's ult. Don't do it.
Na bot lane, por
what you
conta da
think might
karma,
happen
a
just
pressão
doesn't.
vai pra RNG.
In any case, there are a couple of good ults
Mas
still, but let's have a look at
pode
RNG's
ser
core.
que
A little bit more
eles
split
givem
map,
a
a little bit
pressão
more
quando
playing towards
o
Silanes, kind of, again, how
quando
they
o Wei tiver
traditionally
top
play
side.
during the regular season of the LPL. A lot of priority
As melhores
towards the
lanes
top
pra
side,
gankar pro
having
Udyr
a little
são
bit more of a
mid.
weak side bot. I think it's a little harder to play
É
weak
mid
side
top,
bot
principalmente,
when you are
porque o
playing
Sion é um
enchanters,
campeão que não
but
tem
when you have an
saída.
enchanter versus enchanter matchup, it's a little bit
Basicamente,
easy.
se o
I will
Sion
also
já
say
tá
RNG
avançado,
don't
ele vai
have the
ficar ali até
strongest,
morrer
most
ou até
reliable
matar alguém.
engage tools to actually start fights
A não
off.
ser que ele
So I
tenha,
would say
que ele tenha
RNG
ultimate,
kinda
aí ele
need
tem
to
que
get
desviar
ahead.
das pessoas e ir
Now,
embora.
they have been very good when playing against Pentanet at getting ahead in the early game, but this is a composition where I think we're going to see the same thing that we saw yesterday from RNG. Huge investment into
E o
Xiaohu,
Olaf precisa
funneling
crescer no
resources
jogo.
into him, making sure that he has advantages in the early game, and is
Pegar o
able to
nível
punish
6
the
logo
Biopanther
pra
towards
poder
the top
fazer
side,
alguma
while
coisa
also
na
trying to
partida.
shut down Parbu
Mas o
and
Olaf ele não tem
limit
muito
his presence in the early
propósito.
game.
O propósito deles parece ser dar
Once again, we
dive
see
no Cogmall,
Pentanet
basicamente.
facing off against RNG. Currently, it is 4-0 in favor of RNG. One of only
Porque
2
fora isso,
undefeated
ele
teams so
não
far
tem
in the
como
Rumble stage.
fazer muita
RNG
coisa.
are looking to make it 3 in a row. Pentanet have struggled to put up a challenge, but we've already heard from their coach that they are willing to take the fight to the LPL #1 seed. We'll see if they can do it as we get on to Summoner's Rift. Vedi, I will say, had a quick Google.
Yeah.
Looks like he takes the main gun's ability. So if you take Infernum, if Aphelios has Infernum, Silas will take that and flames everywhere. If it's Crescendo, you get Hula Hoops.
Tá bom.
So it depends on what Aphelios
What gun he has.
Eles
I
estavam
will
comentando
say,
sobre a ult
that was
do
on a quick
Silas
Google.
contra a
I
Félix, e
apologize
sim,
if
é
I'm
uma
wrong.
interação
Pretty sure I'm right.
interessante.
Well, we'll find out.
Mas a
if he
interação é
chooses to
que
steal
basicamente o Aphelios,
the,
o
Aphelios
Silas
ult,
rouba
'cause
a
it might
ultimate
just
que
not be
estiver
worth it, and instead
disponível
he
na
might
arma
just steal the
principal
Olaf
do
ult,
Aphelios.
which
And
is CC
the Lee Sin
Unity.
Eu tinha visto
Ultimate,
isso,
the
eu já tinha
Ion
já
Orb,
tinha
the
essa
Wild Growth.
noção.
Exactly. So I think that
Mas
of the
caso vocês não
choices he
soubessem, é
has,
uma curiosidade
there are a
interessante.
number of better ones. Now,
E ele...
Pentanet look to be doing something a little sneaky.
Oh,
E
yeah,
vale
that's
level
ressaltar,
one.
mesmo que
I can see a
o...
ward has been put down, 2 wards in fact, towards both the bot and top.
Se o
RNG getting a little bit
Aphelios
cheeky
mudar de
here.
arma,
They're
ele
looking over,
continua,
you can see the
né?
question
E ele,
mark
antes dele
coming down from
terminar ali a
Pentanet, like,
ult
what
do
are they up to?
Silas,
A bit of
ele mantém. A ult não vai mudar depois que ele já roubou, tá? Oxi.
vision coming out from
Opa.
the RNG bot lane, but it seems to me that Pentanet are doing a similar play to
Deu
what we
uma
saw from
lagadinha, mas já
Cloud9.
passou.
The Scion does a solo buff, may end up killing himself in order to secure that buff, and then perhaps holding bot side of the map. He's actually
Gostei
going to do
desse
Raptors as
cheese
well. But then you also get
da
the red
PGG.
buff that you're currently seeing Pentanet steal away. So this will allow them to 3 buff while also getting their duo playing into Xiaohu. Now the advantages of this are that Xiaohu, it becomes harder for him to get ahead in the early game, largely because, lo and behold, he is playing in a 2 versus 1 lane. He's in a very awkward spot. Let's see what happens.
Jumps onto Decoy. Predator's going to put quite a lot of damage down. Xiaohu does still have the flash and will be able to walk back underneath his tower, but he's going to be forced away from the jungle camps.
E o Wei não vai ter red buff, basicamente é isso.
Now he will let his zombie form expire, get a free base, and then look to go down towards the bottom lane as that wave pushes in.
So currently still level 1, but by taking the first cycle of Raptors, is going to spawn the next level up, which allows Parbu to go
Pegaram
ahead, but
a
also
página do
denies
livro
Wave
da
from actually being
Cloud9,
able to
meu
do them. You
amigo.
can see he's currently pathing towards Krugs,
Agora vamos ver
also
o que
potentially setting up for a dive
a
towards the bot
RNG vai
side
fazer
of
pra
the
responder
map.
isso.
But there's not going to be anything else for him to steal. He's losing a lot of his topside camps, and this is going to give a huge advantage over towards Parbu. But let's see what Wei does as a result. The wave is starting to stack. Biopanther currently not level 2, but he's just going to tick over for it. And that's also why you're stealing away those camps is very valuable because it gives him that initial XP to get that level 2, so he's not dived at level 1, still has the flash, TP is available for Chaz, he's looking to base, but let's see what happens.
Decimating Smash will clear out the minions, tower being tanked by Panther will fall, Gala gets it and survives, takes away a red buff, and Wei will walk in for the stun just to try and stop Biopanther from clearing out this wave. No TP from Chaz, importantly, but Biopanther does still have a TP of his own and will use it to get back to this lane.
And what was interesting there is Biopanther even had a minion dematerializer, which he used on the cannon, so he didn't even miss that CS. So he is still level 3, as we see a bit of a trade in mid.
Meu Deus, o Ryan vai solar de novo.
Only the flash teleport, so no ignite or anything to help him win out this lane, but he will force Chaz away. Importantly, Xiaohu was able to survive a possible dive in the top lane. However, he is at 2 CS 3.5 minutes into this game. Look at Biopanther. Yes, he has died. Only one of those actually went to RNG, but he has 20 more farm. He has tons, 1,000% more CS than Xiaohu right now.
I'm telling you, that was a tactical death, Medic. I think that was, in the rare instance where you can say that death was worth it, just because of the experience and gold that he was able to get.
Nossa, ainda resetaram e desinverteram, ferraram a vida do Xiaohu mais uma vez.
Look at how far behind he is right now. The fact that Biopanther has such a huge level advantage, the fact that Xiaohu in this early laning phase was put so far behind, and also he was able to push in the bot wave, which means that as it's now starting to bounce back, Pentanet have enough time to be able to swap towards the bot side and actually catch that farm. Now, Gala and Ming, because they were first on the swap, they are actually a little bit ahead in CS because they were able to push in bots, get that early reset thanks to the kill. They then get to spend their money and then they immediately go to top side. But RNG are constantly trying to play catch up here, as we see Chaz once again getting very low, Decoy and Pabu in the mid.
Decoy's going to try and whimsy himself forward, getting the movement speed, but can't quite catch out Cryan, who will just catch this wave himself. I just want to come back to something that Emily said on the analyst desk. She wanted to see level 1s from Pentanet. She wanted to see something a little bit more explosive, something a little bit more inventive, and that is what we have seen here. Yes, the gold is even right now, but Wei lost his first
Cara, eu achei incrível a jogada da PGG. Eu achei que eles aprenderam com a C9 essa jogada. Foi uma jogada que a C9 fez no final da LCS.
Have made their way towards the bot side of the map.
E foi incrível, incrível,
we could see some sort of like stacked wave dive onto top lane with Pabu being level 5, Biopanther 2 levels up onto Xiaohu. With that wave slowly starting to mount, I thought that they would try and set something up, but all they're actually doing is trying to push in bot wave, so guess what? They can swap again. I think this can be a little bit dangerous if you don't time it right. Gala and Ming can set up a freeze, which can end up denying a lot of farms. Xiaohu's also able to keep getting the CS advantages, and you can see that RNG are actually going to convert this into a Drake. And I think that at some point you have to just commit to either the 2v2 and the 1 versus 1. But for the time being, Pentanet are going to keep this swap going. They're going to send Pradith and Decoy back up towards the top side of the map once more. They're going to catch this wave. And given that they are on the top side of the map and the Herald spawns in about 2 minutes time, I'd like to see Pentanet play towards that objective. Because if they can start breaking down these towers, keep investing money into their bot lane, which is you expect to be the primary carry, especially with this Lulu on the lineup. And I think that Pentanet's whole game plan here is just avoiding these 2 versus 2s while also denying Xiaohu as much farm and experience as possible.
See Biopanther about 200 gold ahead of Xiaohu in the 1v1, but it hasn't been a 1v1 at all. As at the moment, it is a 3v1 in the bottom lane. Unstoppable Force goes wide. Cryan took the wrong train, had the wrong ticket, but he still goes for the dive. Biopanther just leveled up. It's going to lock down.
Meu amigo.
Down. Biopanther ticking to the ignite will eventually fall, but what a great 1v3 outplay from the Australian top laner.
That was totally worth it for Biopanther. Look, the TP even coming out top lane so that Wei does not get dived. 3 versus 2. I don't think Pentanet can risk this, but I now want to see Chaz pushing in this mid wave. Maybe even actually.
Eu tô abismado, eu tô achando um jogo maravilhoso, muito divertido.
I'm surprised that he wouldn't try and
porra.
push this wave in immediately. He doesn't need to hold this wave. Getting the priority and the pressure is way more valuable, I think, and moving with your team. As a fight happens.
Ragnarok coming out
O Olaf tá de vocês!
Two quick kills to RNG.
This is exactly why I think Chaz should have just pushed in that mid wave. Push it in, get the wave underneath the tower.
O Chaz trollou muito pesado.
Use your numbers advantage, use the situation and the opportunity that Cryan is actually dead
to
gain more advantages. Instead, it was Pabu and Decoy versus the top jungle of RNG. You're not going to win out on that 2v2 skirmish. They even flashed in. Cryan arrives to the scene as well. and RNG end up coming out ahead in the skirmish. And you can just see, I feel like in this situation, Pentanet need to be using their waves and their numbers advantage to contest these objectives. He flash overcommits,
Nossa, que
and I feel
bobeira.
like that they were likely going to die anyway, especially with the arrival of Cryan. And that actually now puts gold back into the pocket of Xiaohu. Yes, he's still behind in experience, which is a big deal, but getting that money is going to be really helpful for him getting back into this game.
Yeah, let's take a look at exactly where we are in terms of state of the game. There's a 400 gold lead for BioPanther in the top lane, but look at the AD carries. Gala is 700 gold ahead. Even though Wei was put behind in the early game, he's basically even with Pabu now as well. And in the mid lane, there's a 500 gold lead for Cryan. So this early rotational play from Pentanet hasn't paid off as much as they'd like. They have stemmed the bleeding, but they are still bleeding slowly.
Exactly right, Medic.
Caraca, essa jogada na jungle deu tão errado, mas tinha tudo pra dar certo. O grande problema realmente foi esse. Sem o push do mid, sem se mobilizar pra lane, sem fazer essa movimentação pra gerar vantagem numérica, o Chaz acabou trollando a jogada e deixando de ganhar, digamos assim.
But the advantages that are being gained everywhere else on the map for RNG is definitely something that they need to deal with. I think that this Herald is going to be really important. We talked about it, but look at where RNG is now. They have their bot lane on the top side of the map, which means that Wei now is in a much better position to be able to contest it. They're going to be able to use that to get the top tower. As Xiaohu, he's getting denied even more farm, but he's going to live. And at this point, that is way more valuable because the bot lane is just continuing to get resources, and RNG is just ahead of the game.
And it's the second time we've seen Pentanet actually move their bot lane away from the neutral objective. First time it was that dragon in the bot side that Wei was able to pick up because Gala and Ming were down there. This time, they moved their bot lane away from the Rift Herald, and now Rift Herald is on Wei. He can look to put that down towards the top side if they want for the plates to take down that tower, or he can even funnel plates into Cryan in the mid lane, or even into Xiaohu, who is once again getting dived. Tries to jump in onto Pabu. Pabu doesn't have the Ragnarok, and Xiaohu with the flash will survive once again.
The thumbs up comes through. He's saying, you know what, you just invested your AD carries flash into trying to kill me, and it didn't work out. Meanwhile, RNG have their eyes set on Chaz.
Chaz gets kicked back straight into the stun. Crying and Wei styling on fools as Chaz goes down. Top lane turret will fall. That's all 5 plates
Eles
up there.
começaram tão bem, mas aí depois eles fizeram várias cagadas. Primeiro, continuar invertendo e reinvertendo e reinvertendo e reinvertendo. Foi muito
stealing away the Lee Sin ultimate to then set up the stun for Wei. Just
porque eles perderam
was
tempo.
clean. They're going to get themselves even more plates in mid. Not going to use the Herald just
Still got
yet.
2 minutes to use it, so.
But quite right. There's plenty of time for
E o
RNG.
segundo
They've been able to
ponto
balloon the goal into
é
3K. And again, like, really like the premise, really like the initial idea from
é
Pentanet.
justamente eles não
After the
terem
initial stages, some of their execution started
usado
to
essa
falter. They
pressão
will be
de
able to
estar
get
no
the
mapa
bot tower,
primeiro, de estar
currently sitting in a
na
2K gold
dianteira,
deficit, but mid lane
para
is now
criar
falling
jogadas
behind.
juntos.
The early jungle advantage they were trying
Nossa,
to get
cara,
is also starting to
o Chaz
decline.
ficou muito
RNG,
atrás agora.
even though they've kind of been chasing a lot of Pentanet in the early game, they've actually been able to find
Era
a lot
pra
of
ele
kills.
ter
They found
jogado,
the skirmish up top, they
aquela
found
jogada
another
era pra ele
big
estar na
pick in mid
frente,
as
era pra
well,
ele ter
and
pego
they
aquela
still
kill
have that Rift Herald
na
at their
jungle.
disposal. What
Era
they're
pra ele
gonna
ter
do is
jogado a
likely
wave
move
na
their bot lane
torre
into
com
mid so
todas
they
as
can
forças
still
dele.
get priority and then contest
E
Drake, which is currently
consequentemente,
alive.
jogando a wave na
Cryan
torre,
has the
você
TP, so should
ganha
a big fight break out, he's able to
você
join the
consegue
fray.
ganhar
And
tempo, né? E com esse tempo que você ganha, você consegue invadir a jungle, você consegue ir pra outra rota, você consegue fazer um gank, você pode fazer N coisas, você pode dar B. Só que como ele não fez isso, foi tempo ganho pro Sylas, sabe?
To take a big team fight, because right now RNG are out macroing them, and this is what we saw through the group stage, through those last 4 games these two teams have played. RNG are just that little bit better at times. Pentanet, though, do still have the tools. Aphelios Lulu so strong in the late game. Chaz on the Lee Sin could catch someone out. If he can get Gala, he's dead, he's donezo. And then on top of that, you don't have as much DPS. Crying can put out the damage later on the Sylas, but right now, he doesn't even have a mythic item. Doesn't even have that Everfrost complete, so he will be behind the curve in terms of pure damage.
Thing is, I kind of feel like
você vê que o
RNG's
Chaz, ele já vai começar a dar scale down, a porrada que ele tá começando a tomar. Ele não vai ter, ele vai se isolar daqui.
Center opposite sides of the map. Decoy trying to flank here, but that's a support level 6 Lulu. Not going to be able to do too much as Chaz gets a taste of his own medicine and is just about able to survive.
So you're kind of seeing what I meant with the whole scaling thing, right? Where RNG just have such powerful side laners, even though Xiaohu is behind, Cryin is not. And I don't think anyone can really stop him on a side lane. And what RNG have been praised for is their map movements, their understanding of how to manage their waves, and I think that when you give them a split push comp like this, they know how to play the map very well. They know how to use their pressure. And look, Wei is here to cover Cryin as he pushes in top wave. They can also collapse and help mid, but Gala is just diving with Ming and saying, you know what, this tower belongs to us, get off it, we're gonna secure. And I believe what that is now, 11 plates that they have secured in this early game. So, as great as the strategy was, it has not resulted in an advantage for Pentanet. If anything, Gala has just been allowed to free farm, and this is why RNG is so difficult to deal with, because you sit there and think,
o grande problema aqui, e é o que eu tinha falado, eles tinham que ter se comprometido, acho que no segundo swap, quando eles trocaram, sabe, quando eles botaram a bot lane pra bot lane, eles tinham que ter mantido a bot lane
he
lá.
knows how to farm, he's very efficient with his farming, he knows how to take resource, and then he's just a monster in team fights, right?
Porque depois eles ficaram tanto tempo perdendo tanto tempo com essa corrida,
unless you can like go pound for pound toe to toe with them across the board, they feel like such a difficult team to be able to deal with. And I think that's why they get so much of their praise. And look at Cryin right now, still hovering, sitting in the side lane, looking to use the power that he does have.
E consequentemente o Cryin pegou a vantagem naquela jogada na jungle. E agora ele está usando essa vantagem para pressionar o mid adversário.
Chaz will be able to walk his way back all the way around here, and maybe we'll see Pentanet trying to find a catch in one of these side lanes. Top lane seems to be the key point right now as Cryin was pushing up, but you can see he pays respect, he backs away. And for the moment, RNG have pretty much total control of this map.
So second herald is spawning in a little bit, and this time around Xiaohu has the TP. But RNG ideally want to give him the opportunity to get back into the game. So they're going to leave him bots to push as RNG commit into trying to get a little bit more control of the top side. Chaz and Cryin now in another duel.
Here come the TPs. Pentanet actually have a lot of players on this top side of the map. Chaz with the flash kick tries to knock Cryin back. He's going to kick him away, and Biopanther knocked to Sunday. Ragnarok coming out, and there's the shutdown. Pabu's on the chase, looking for Wei. Ming trying to join the fight. Meanwhile, down towards the bottom side, Gala's been caught out. Praedith flashes forward and he gets the kill. AD carry versus AD carry, and Praedith comes out on top. 2 quick kills to Pentanet.
So it ends up being 2 for 2 overall.
Praedith died to the explosion.
Biopanther has to invest his teleports to help out his mid laner, but look at what's happening bot lane. Xiaohu is getting himself towers, he's pushing in these waves, and he's so benefiting, he's getting himself back into the game. And again, this is what's so obnoxious about RNG. You sit there, you think you found a good fight, you think you found an objective.
Depois daquele early game já ficou
doing something in a side lane, and it feels like
o
that even
time
though
já
that was a
começou a errar
promising
jogadas de
Pentanet,
novo.
it ends up still being advantage over to RNG.
Yeah, it's a 4,500 gold lead for RNG right now. 2
particularmente, né, a ideia desse swap, a ideia dessa maluquice é você gerar vantagens no early game. Quando você quer gerar vantagens no early game e você termina o early game em desvantagem, basicamente você se colocou numa bola de neve invertida.
So we saw the skirmish up towards the top side in the new Axe Effect replay. A good flash kick from Chaz, but they don't quite have the damage to kill Cryin before. And so what happens here? Gala, in a 1 versus 2, the thing is when Praedith can get the range gap closed, then it's winnable for him. But you saw how much he had to invest in actually to get that kill. I love the little googly eyes on Gala when he died there as well. Kog'Maw just has so much damage, and this is another reason why I think RNG have that scaling advantage, because even though, yes, they don't have that Lulu support, the range... Oh, hang on a second, this is not looking good for Pentanet.
Way coming round, Chaz going to be able to jump
A
across the wall.
Pentanet está trazendo em pontos
He's going to get stunned up, and
aí
on the chase. Wild growth across the wall will just be enough to save Pabu for the moment. There's a blast cone available. Abscon goes wide. Biopanther is going to get rooted by that tether. Gala now opening up. Kog'Maw does so much damage, but Praedith just waiting in the bush, and the chakrams of death start to rain down on RNG. Cryin going in with the unstoppable onslaught, but Praedith still has great guns for this fight, and here comes the counter engage. The pain train has entered the station, but Chaz tries to dive into the back line. Tempest hits on 4. 1 for 1 so far. The Dragon
Pegaram o
goes
dragão.
over Pentanet, but look at
O
how low
Aphelios
RNG
já gastou ult aquela hora, ele errou.
can somehow get
que triste.
forward. They would be able to pick up a little bit more. Great fight there from Pentanet. They get a kill, and they get the dragon.
The fact that Pentanet is 5,000 gold behind, yet still found a successful fight, just goes to show the resilience of this team. I thought that was doom and gloom as they were trying to invade in the enemy jungle, but they end up bouncing back. and they actually got a very close fight. Huge props to Chaz.
Tá, tem ponto muito positivo aqui.
Na
realidade, a Royal, se o Silas tivesse sem ult, entre aspas, né? Se o Silas tivesse sem ult,
and they're able to actually turn the fight in their favor. So it ends up being 1-4. They do get the Drake. They deny that soul point away from RNG. And Pentanet still showing that they do still have some.
Se o Silas tivesse sem ultimate, sem uma ultimate boa roubada, a teamfight é muito mais forte da PGG.
Pretty much the entire game is now caught up and is ahead in farm as well. The Cogmore has completed the second item with the Phantom Dancer. Everfrost now finished for Cryan.
Porque você tem um Sion, que é uma linha de frente muito grande. Você tem o Olaf com uma dobradinha com o Lee Sin. Você tem o Aphelios, que é uma máquina de teamfight. Então você tem que tomar muito cuidado, você tem que respeitar essa teamfight.
Got 3 minutes before the next Drake comes up. Maybe this Rift Herald will be used mid by RNG to try and break.
Porque é uma teamfight mais fácil de executar, digamos assim, sabe?
Pentanet are able just to stand back, let RNG control most of the map, and actually not lose too much.
For now, vision control being set up towards the top side. The wave starting to push. I'm curious. I don't think Cryan is Cryan freezing that wave in bot lane? Let me have a quick. No, I don't think he is. He's just kind of letting the wave come into him. Still has his teleport available. Likely wants to try and sync up the waves because he knows that his team is going to reset soon. So notice that he's not going to overextend here. He's a little bit worried about how much control he has over the map. Do also want to quickly mention, we didn't talk about it in draft, but Pentanet do have what is effectively a full AD composition. And I know a lot of question marks came out about Darmon's full AD composition yesterday, but I think one of the biggest things that people need to remember is that sometimes comps can't always itemize against full AD. So Udyr in this situation, very difficult to kill, right? Yes, of course. But he also doesn't really do a lot of damage, and he's not that much of a threat the later into the game that you go. However, you look at the rest of RNG, there's no armor anywhere, right? So even though Pentanet's comp is full AD,
tá, a leitura que eu tenho aqui é que basicamente a Royal tá puxando o bot e o mid, e não é com o intuito de levar, de controlar o bot, de jogar pro bot, porque não tem nenhum objetivo no bot. O objetivo que tá no mapa agora é o Barão. E eles fazem esse Barão muito rápido, se eles tiverem tempo. Então o objetivo da Royal é pegar esse Barão usando a pressão deles, abusando da pressão deles. E você vê que a Pentanet ela tá com medo, tanto que eles já usaram o trinket azul lá, ainda tem mais um. E olha o quão rápido eles dizimam esse objetivo. Mano, a teamfight deles é muito bolada. E o Prey chegando só agora. Mano, que jogadaça, velho. E é exatamente isso, você tá jogando com essa composição da RNG de costas pra parede. E essa luta foi sem o dano da Aphelios ali, demorou a Aphelios a chegar ainda. Olha a quantidade de dano em área que eles têm, sabe?
If they're just given the opportunity to do so. Getting on top of the RNG comp is the hard part, but once they get there, they can just melt through them.
E o dano em área deles é muito grande, sabe? E qual é o grande problema? É claro, eu acredito, a RNG segue na frente, ela segue na vantagem e tudo mais, eles vão conseguir usar esses dois buffs, o buff do Barão mais o Arauto pra conseguir garantir mais vantagens. Mas você olha aqui, esse campeão, tanto o Jace quanto o Kog'Maw, quando estão de costas pra parede, são inúteis, sabe? A Karma também não se dá bem de costas pra parede. São campeões imóveis, são campeões que só tem mobilidade agressiva. O Jace só tem mobilidade quando ele tá indo pra cima de alguém, que ele vai dar martelada, beleza? Mas fora isso, ele não pode dar uma martelada pro outro lado da parede pra sair, sabe? O Kog, ele só tem o flash de mobilidade. Se ele tiver sem flash, ele tá morto, sabe? Ele não tem como sair. Então, ali, quem tem como sair, de fato, o único campeão que tem como sair das coisas é o Sylas do Crying. Fora isso, não tem jogo. Então, eles não podem se colocar de costas pra parede. Eu acho que a RNG vai ter aprendido a lição. Ou eles vão continuar sendo arrogantes. Se eles continuarem sendo arrogantes, você pode ver a Pentanet pegar mais alguma vantagenzinha. Que provavelmente eles não deviam poder pegar nesse ouro, sabe? Mas a Pentanet tá tá fazendo a RNG pensar, tá fazendo a RNG ter que jogar e ter que aprender que que eles vão sangrar, basicamente. Mas eu gostei muito desse estilo, dessa loucura que a Pentanet tá jogando. Falta execução? Falta execução, falta estabilidade no jogo. Mas eles, assim, evoluíram e mostraram que facilmente foram o time que mais evoluiu ao longo do campeonato.
They had some fantastic team fights, right? And even here at MSI, we've seen some really impressive team fights from them. But we've also seen some not so great team fights.
É time que daria facilmente uma surra em si mesmo da comparação do primeiro dia pra cá.
A large part of what we've been talking about here for RNG is they outscale in the sense that like they have really strong side lanes, right? They can kind of play the map better. They don't have to get into 5v5s. They have like this huge range advantage with the Kog'Maw as well. But if you just front to back 5v5 team fight like this is how they can find these advantages, getting these small picks.
Oh, look at the damage from Gala. Ooh. Almost kills him off with a Bioarcane Barrage. Can't quite land the final ultimate there.
Mas eles não gastaram nada, foi só o engage pelo flash ult do Pablo. Flash não, quase não tem flash, pelo quebra-passos de ult. Quebra-passos de volta muito rápido, deixa quieto.
That is ways in which Pentanet, I think, can actually claw their way back into the game. The question is, how many good fights can they actually find against RNG? Because as we saw against Cloud9 yesterday, RNG are very quick to recognize their failings and then pivot and change. And you can see Xiaohu putting up pressure in a side lane, still has his TP available, pushing in that wave, stealing away camps. Cryan looking to reset, spend a little bit more of that gold, and also his TP is coming up soon. So RNG are just kind of applying pressure all across the map and denying Pentanet as much as possible.
You see Pentanet there trying to set up a little bit of a trap bush. Pabu's going to walk all the way towards this blue buff and realize his way, and Xiaohu are in close proximity and will retreat out of it. 7,000 gold lead for RNG. A minute on the next dragon. It will be the third of the game for either of the teams that ends up securing it. No Ocean Soul yet on Summoner's Rift. And importantly, Gala at 3 items with the Runan's Phantom Dancer and the Gale Force already complete, whereas Freydith is still waiting on that Lord Dominic's regards, I assume, on the Aphelios.
Esses dois AD Carries vão ser o ponto pivotal do jogo. O AD Carry que encaixar melhor na fight ganha a luta. Totalmente.
You get all of your stalkers, you get all of your zealots, and you A-move into the enemy.
That makes sense, yeah. Never played Saga
in my life, but that... Blade and Soul, you get your Kung Fu Masters.
You don't?
You get other Kung Fu Masters. Yeah. I only know Kung Fu Master because I know it's what you play. Okay?
Oh shit. Eles dando passo em cima do Maward, cara.
Group as 5. Run it down mid. Look, here's the group as 5. Let's see if they run it down mid. The Sion ultimate is available, way on the flank.
Pabu will spot him out, Cryan trying to get in there as well. Ragnarok is available for that Olaf. He takes the Everfrost, he eats the CC, Dragon's Rage. Now stolen away by Cryan, Gala and Ming.
Eu acho que o Cryan quer pegar o Freydith ali.
Unstoppable Force hits the wall, Way trying to get in here as well, but you've got to watch Chaz and Freydith. They are the 2 key carries in this fight, and Chaz was almost down.
Cryan morto.
Just killed off Cryan. 1 for 1, mid laner,
Freydith
both gone down. For the moment, Pentanet able to survive. Xiao Hu dives in, Praetor's gonna kill off
Meu
Ming
amigo!
as well. Gala and Wei, the only two left alive, and Baron is on the cards for Pentanet.
We talked about it, man. RNG keep just trying to... They took the bait, they went for the 5v5, and Pentanet just straight up outplayed them. Gala's positioning was flawless.
Look at the hula hoop of doom. He's got all the shotguns, they fall off. Infernum, Calibrum, Gala stepping forward. Praetor's still alive. Gala has to flash away. Parbu and Biopanther go back to the mound with a 6,000 HP on it still. Parbu's gonna flash onto the honey fruit. The living artillery doing a lot of work here.
Meu amigo.
Trying to dodge around. He's playing DDR more than he's playing League of Legends right now. He's dancing. The knockup goes in. Wei goes down. Pentanet once again without the fight. Gala trying to get into this, but now with the TPs coming back from Xiao Hu and from Pentanet, we're gonna see this brawl continue. Crying behind enemy lines, but Pentanet spot him out.
Oi, foi mal. Perdão, saúde, guys.
Xiao Hu's looking for the mid and hip. No way, do they do this again? That is, they're looking for the back door.
The waves are being pushed in top and bot. RNG recognize that RNG have TP'd in, and now Crying goes for another fight.
Jazz has the kick. He knocks it down, and Crying is doing exactly that. He pops the stopwatch to try and survive for the moment. Xiao Hu going in as well. Crying's still alive. Xiao Hu's still alive.
Meu Deus, o Praetor morreu?
O
Praetor foi base! O Praetor foi base!
Oh
não,
goodness.
velho!
That was so close from Pentanet. They did so many things right. They punished the misexecution from RNG.
Nossa, isso
but
deu
then
muita
the TPs
pena,
come back,
cara.
the re-engage happens, and then Gala says, I'm not done with you yet. Triple kill from the AD carry comes through. RNG win out the fight, and they're gonna look
muito triste, cara. Mas era de se esperar que a RNG ganhasse, sim. Mas, cara... Ai, foi aqui... Vamos ver essa última luta rapidinho, aproveitar que eu tô vendo pela stream do YouTube.
Look at the hula hoop of doom. He's got all the shotguns, they fall off. Infernum, Calibrum, Gala stepping forward. Praetor's still alive. Gala has to flash away. Parbu and Biopanther go back to the mound with a 6,000 HP.
Eu acho que aqui eles tinham que ter focado um cara só. Se eles focassem o Wei rápido, eles poderiam ter matado ele e depois virado pra cima do Gala. E agora o que vai acontecer? O Prey vai puxar o wave do top e vai dar B.
Pentanet spot him out, they know he's there. Counter TP. Xiao Hu's looking for the mid and hip. No way, do they do this again? That is, they're looking for the back door.
Só que olha aqui, o Prey tá full life e vai dar B. E vai dar B. Ele vai dar B. E o Prey, ele é o carry da composição, cara. E sem o Aphelios eles não conseguem lutar. Teve uma split call aqui, com certeza. Teve uma call com certeza de dar dive, de engajar. E por outro lado, teve com certeza a call de cara, deixa eu restartar aqui que eu tenho item na base. E com isso foi o fim do jogo. E novamente o jogo decidido. Cara, esse jogo foi decidido no detalhe. Eu nunca esperava que um jogo entre Pentanet.gg e Royal Never Give Up fosse ser definido no detalhe, sabe? Eu achava que o único detalhe que podia definir esse jogo é o detalhe de que era Royal no jogo, sabe? Mas, apesar de tudo, PGG trouxe uma página do livrinho da Cloud9. Eu acho que a Cloud9 vai ficar orgulhosa de ver isso. Foi o que eles fizeram na final. E, meu amigo, foi incrível, realmente. Foi um jogo muito divertido de se assistir. Os times fizeram loucura. Eu acho que a Pentanet faltou reconhecer qual era a força deles no comecinho. Conseguiram ganhar tempo até entrar na teamfight com aquele Aphelios monstruoso. Só que no final foi justamente o B do Aphelios que ferrou tudo. Então, meus amigos, é isso. Muitíssimo obrigado a todos vocês. E como sempre, GG e até logo.